Hey guys, welcome back. I want to do a quick follow-up on yesterday's video. I want to talk about the redundancies of the Hill digital cockpit, the touchscreen glass display that we unveiled yesterday. A lot of people ask, we've been doing presentations on this helicopter for a very long time to over 1,000 people, and the question we get a lot of time is, what's the redundancy on this digital display? Like, is there any chance that it could just black out and stop working on me? And the answer to that is multifold. It's a triple redundancy setup. So what happens is you have three displays all together. So you got the two main displays in the helicopter that are built into the aircraft. So you got the pilot side and the co-pilot side. Those are independent from each other. So if one were to fail and either need to reboot or just black out on you or something like that, there's a redundancy system on the left side, so you can have all the flight instruments and everything over there. Now the triple redundancy is actually the iPad, which is external from the aircraft. It plugs in, integrates with the whole system, but if you had your main displays fail on you, you can actually duplicate all your flight instruments and everything onto that iPad as well. So that's a backup system that you can have in case you had a failure on one of those other ones. What's the likelihood of that failure? Well, when was the last time your display, if you have a nice high-end vehicle with a digital display, when was the last time that failed on you? Pretty unlikely, right? It's very rare, actually. Right where the company that Jason's working with has an incredible track record, amazing UI and interface and experience. Very, very redundant system. So the likelihood of an actual failure on that is extremely unlikely. But again, you've got that triple redundancy setup system. The back end, all the certified units that we talked about before, they're all done by Avidyne. So Avidyne are the competitors for Garmin. Again, amazing redundancy there. Obviously, we're familiar with the safety and redundancy from Garmin. Most people are most familiar with Garmin. So we've got that system as well. So the likelihood of actually having a failure on this, extremely low. If you did, you've got a triple redundancy set up there as well. Another thing that I want to bring out that's really important for helicopters, we've got a dual FADEC on the engine, so to make sure that you're never going to have any hot starts on the startup or have any overtemps or anything like that during flight. We also have a governor, so that's taking care of your throttle for you, your RPM control. So if, let's just say worst case scenario, everything failed, you had a really bad day, everything failed on you, you had no flight instrumentation. The important thing to remember is that this is a private helicopter for VFR pilots. If everything failed, you can still look outside the window and fly the helicopter. I've done videos on this before, I've talked about this many times before. As a helicopter pilot, our job is to look outside and fly the aircraft. We don't actually need any of those flight instruments. I could throw a blanket over top of my flight instruments and I could fly the helicopter and I would know approximately what altitude I was, what speed I was at. I wouldn't have to worry about things like RPM control and so forth because the governor is going to take care of that for me. Obviously, I would need to know how much power I'm pulling. That's another cool feature with the HX50. It has haptic feedback on your controls, so you can actually feel as you're pulling in power, let's say coming in for landing, you're going to be able to feel just by a bit of resistance as you're coming up to 100% torque, so you're actually going to know, hey, that's my limit. I don't want to be pulling past that. So again, without even looking inside, you've got that feedback right there on the controls. So what's the redundancy? What's the likelihood of having a failure on this? Basically none. And if you did have a failure, look outside, guys. That's the way you're supposed to be flying anyways. I know in an airplane, for any of you airplane pilots that are listening to this video, you'll think, wow, that's ludicrous, that's crazy. Well, an airplane has far more critical things that we need to look at our instruments for. Airspeed is our number one thing in fixed wing. In helicopters, not so critical, right? If we slow down, helicopter's not going to stall on us. So we can be looking out the window. This is the way we teach our students all the time anyways. I'm always teaching them, guys, listen, look out the window. They're always saying, well, what speed should I be at? Trying to look inside. Keep your eyes outside. It's the most important that you are looking at, your closure rate to your spot. We have all sorts of visual cues that we're training you from day one to make sure that you know what the speed and what the altitude and the approach angle is like by looking just out the window and being able to see that visualization there. So just wanted to touch on that because people did have questions on it. If you have more questions, if you still have questions on this or anything else, leave those in the comments below. I would love to be able to see those and be able to answer those for you in future videos. That would be really great. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.